Hey guys, welcome to this question and answer period with the pattern trader. My name is Mark Shawzin, the pattern trader. Be happy to take any questions you have. Taking a look at all of the markets. What I see is the yen pair starting to strengthen. This is consistent with my thoughts. Japanese yen is in a long term primary trend, secular trend, strengthening trend. The long term trends in the yen pairs are lower. I think we're bumping up against major resistance in the euro yen and the pound yen. We've seen major key reversals in those markets today where we went higher and now pointing lower. Hey Cyprian, how are you? What are you trading today? So as I was saying, I think the yen pairs are hitting a major resistance. I like dollar yen short, and pound yen hit a major resistance today. So did euro yen. They went higher. Now they substantially lower on the day. So I think the yen pairs are going to be fertile ground. Cyprian says today is magic. I see that Zoom is trading now on the low of the day. I've made no, kind of, I haven't been shy about my thoughts that Zoom is going to go a lot lower. That's where I have a lot of, my money, on that side, on the short side. Looks like Tesla's turned around now on the low of the day. So, I think these stocks feel like they have hit, a high and will start going lower. And now I'm just not, it looked like the volatility was starting to come in, but, things are starting to get active now. So we've gotten spoiled by a lot of, my mouse isn't working. We've gotten spoiled by a lot of, activity in the last year or so, and I wasn't sure if the volatility was going to come in. Sorry, I trying to see what's going on with my mouse here. So Cyprian says he's shorted the NASDAQ 13.9. I think that's a good, I bought Apple puts. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if Apple would be the one stock that I would try and short. Look, I think everything's coming down, but I think some stocks will be relatively stronger than others. You see what Apple's doing. Yeah, we have a bit of a key reversal today. I think they're doing some kind of roadshow. They're rolling out some product today. So I don't know if Apple would be my first candidate to short. Richard says, what will Lyft do if the market's going down? So it's going down also, Richard. I'm losing some money. I had some calls this week, and Lyft is going down with the market. And I hope that Lyft gets punished back to the low 50s. Give me a chance to buy it. There's going to be an earnings announcment on Lyft in May 12th, and I'll see what the trading action looks like around then, and probably buy some call options then. But look, I think the market environment is changing. So Parent says I shorted AMD. I'm holding some put options. Yeah. I think AMD is, everything looks like it's going to turn lower. AMD put on this double top head and shoulders at the 92. Now you got this another interim double top. It looks like it projects down to 75 Ference. So Cyprian's looking. Yeah, so all the IPOs have proved to be just scams. All the IPOs that came out in 2020, I've just been shorting them. Snowflake, SNOW, Dash, DASH, QuantumScape, Plug, all of them. I've been shorting all these story stocks. So I think, now SI. Cyprian is looking at SI. What company is this, Cyprian? Yeah, so that looks like a massive triple top. Once it goes through like the 100, it looks like, there's just like 100 stocks that all look like they're going to roll over, which, is consistent with what I've been saying for a long time. Liquidity rises, makes everybody look good. But when the tide goes out, then we find out, who the real culprits are. So it just looks like this whole market is going to get body slammed, and it's just pick your poison. What I try and do is, short the rallies. So, if I think this is a, it was a buy the dips environment. Now it's sell the rallies. So, Zoom opened like a couple bucks higher. What was the high today? Around 327. I put a, limit at 326, which is about $2 higher than, the close. And so I just short into, these higher openings. And I think you can have a field day doing that. I think the environment is changing. One of the stocks that I really like lower is BYND, Beyond Meat. It's coming back to that 130 threshold. I think the next level is 125. And then when it gets to 115, there's nothing underneath that. I think that's a $60 stock, Beyond Meat, by BYND. I've been saying that for like 6 months. Zoom's on the low of the day. I think the low yesterday was around 320. We're at 321 today. So if we take out 320, there's nothing to hold up Zoom till 310, then 305, and then 275. Silvergate Capital. What do they do, Cyprian? Not that I really care about what anything does. I'm just curious. Yeah, that's like a perfect triple top. And once again, I just look at these things and just short into them. One of the stocks I was looking at is DraftKings, very popular gaming site, and I just sold into that opening today. DKNG. Yeah, so DraftKings opened like slightly higher. That's got a huge double top head and shoulders. Hey, Yoni, how you doing? Yes, I'm kind of healing from my second major surgery in 2 months. That's why you see kind of a bed behind me. I'm sleeping in my office because I recently had Achilles tendon surgery. And so, I've been walking on crutches for the last 3 weeks. I've got a long recovery ahead of me, and it just sucks. Thanks for that, Cyprian. I'll take a look at that. Probably the less you know about anything, the better. Just keeps you more objective. Just look at price action. If the price seems right, do what do you need to, and then if it's not working, just cut your losses. So what else are you guys looking at? I think again the yen pairs. I've been waiting for a long time for these yen pairs to exhaust this rally. I think we're getting pretty close, and I think these yen pairs are going to head back in the direction of their main trend, lower, especially dollar yen. What about Ethereum? The cryptos, I have no clue. I mean, they're just a market unto themselves. My wife loves these things. I don't know how they're valued. But I just get scared of parabolic moves. Ethereum looks a little bit more controlled than Bitcoin. Who the heck knows? Let's see. And there's an uptrend line here that excuse me. See, there's an uptrend line that is around, I'd say, 2,000, around 2,000. So any penetration under 2,000 for Ether would turn back this recent uptrend. So what are we trading at? 2,200 or something? 2,187. Hey, Kirby, thanks for your positive review. I really appreciate it. In terms of the Dow, yeah, I in my weekly video report, I looked at the S&P and I saw the S&P was at a major resistance area, right at the top of an ascending broadening price pattern. That's the same ascending broadening price pattern that I saw in gold at 2,100. And I said at that time, gold was going to drop from 2,100 to 1,700, which was the base of the ascending, broadening formation. I think the Dow looks like it's in that pattern, the S&P, and the Nasdaq. So I think we're starting to hit major highs on these indexes. Now I don't know if they're just going to drop like a stone, or they're just going to you know have a little consolidation up here. But I think the Nasdaq's at 14,000. It's where that previous high was, where I shorted it 2 months ago. And I think once you get to major resistance levels, it doesn't just cut through those resistance levels like a knife through butter. We saw that with pound New Zealand. When it hit that 198 resistance area, it got smacked. And I think it's going to be the same with a lot of these indexes. I think the party's over, or getting close to be over. If you haven't made money on the upside by now, I wouldn't hold your breath. Rhythmic says, "Hope all is green and gold for you." Yeah. So look, I've just picked my spots. I'm short Zoom. I'm short DKNG. I'd like to short everything. I mean, so going to be interesting to see where Tesla ends up today. Tesla is flat on the year. If you're a stockholder in Tesla, you have not made any money for 2021 on the upside. So I think that's also rounding the corner. Looks like it's failing at the 720 area, and going to get trashed just like everything else. Bullshit versus, once you say something's bearish, how long should I look for the expiry for the put? Should I just short? So it really depends. Like the put options for Zoom are so expensive that I have to put up so much money to short the stock, because the put options are just too expensive. So I try and find things, but sometimes when you find things that are less expensive, then there's no liquidity in that option. So it's kind of tricky to find a play, but it really depends. So I'm usually just playing 1 week forward, which then is a game of real cat and mouse, because you can be right about where something's going, but if it doesn't happen that week, then you lose all of your money. So you have to be right, and you also have to be right about the timing with options. So like Beyond Meat, BYND, it's back to this critical 130 area. And so the more you kind of press on an area, the more likely you're going to go through. And so, I would look at put options. It's Tuesday. We've only got till Friday. So we're trading at 131. Let me just check out these put options real quick. So the 130 puts are $2. That means your break even is 128. So rule of thumb is I try and make at least 2 to 3 times. So if I'm going to put up $2 for BYND, the 130 puts at $2, then I got to see those go into 6, which means by the end of the week, I have to see BYND at 124, which is $7 from here. Not ruling it out. It can get there. The 127s are around. I usually like paying around $1, just psychologically. So the 127s are $1, which means your break even is around 126. So then you got to say, do I see this thing going down $5 this week? Yeah, it very well could. And sometimes if you just get a move, you buy these things for $1, and then tomorrow this thing drops $2, and your buck thing goes to $2. You can make 50% quickly. So look, I think the momentum is right. That the momentum is going to keep carrying these stocks lower. So maybe this is the time. But usually I just buy a week forward. But there are some options that are structured so they give you like a month forward, and I love those. It gives you a lot of time to see if that works out or not. So for me, there's no really rule of thumb. It just you have to look at the pattern and then say, can you see that price getting to where you need to get to on the the put or the call, in time for you to make money. So you have to be right, and it has to be right now. And I think these things are setting up where they're setting up for a fall right now. So like QuantumScape last week was sitting right on the ledge. So the ledge for Beyond Meat is probably around 125, in yeah, about 124. So, if we got to 124 and then you bounced off that ledge, went back to 126 or something like that, then I would, hammer the puts. So right now you could, get a bit of support. I mean, one day where, Beyond Meat tomorrow goes down $1, then, by the end of the day, it's kind of up $1. You lose so much premium when it just kind of goes sideways. So you have to be correct that things going to fall and fall right now. Like Zoom right now is puncturing, I think yesterday's lows right now. So it's going to go. But, when I look at the options, they're so expensive. So just to put it into, so Zoom that, yeah, taking out yesterday's low. So I think it's going to go right now. I mean, but if I look at the options, like the 320 puts are $6. So if I need to make 3 times my money, this thing needs to go to 18. So by the end of the week, Zoom needs to be at 302. Now it could do that. I mean, Zoom is one of the highest beta stocks, I've seen, and that's why I love trading it. The beta is when you compare the movement of the stock versus the market, and Zoom is like twice the beta of the market. So, whatever the NASDAQ falls, this goes, down twice as hard. So so you have to say, can I see, Zoom going to 318, so it's just too much. And if it doesn't, you've got $6 worth of premium that you could lose. What is the next one? Like even the 315s are $4. So again, I would have to, see this stock going to 302, it's all-time 8-month low by the end of the week. Now it could do that. I mean, this thing could just collapse today. So I don't know. What looks expensive now could be cheap later, but I like finding these out of the money things. They're $1 and they go to 7. I don't really want to pay $6 and watch them go to 12, and take all of that risk. So you just got to do your homework, and it's like being a detective. That's what being a trader is, just finding these little inefficiencies and finding the one place where you can get some value. Yeah, so Zoom has just cracked through 320. It's trading at 318 now. It's gone. It's just going to Zoom now. And I've got a boatload of these things. I'm going to keep it. I think the stock goes down $100. Frankly, I think it goes down $200 from here. So to me, that's kind of been my focus. You see all of these things, Snowflake is going lower and, Tesla's getting creamed now. So yeah, it's pick your poison. Yeah, Cyprian, I see, I'm watching Zoom very carefully. And, yesterday's low was around a hair under 321. I sent out an email last night to our members to put a sell stop in Zoom at 320. So that got triggered today. And I don't think there's anything to hold this thing up till 300. It's just got a clean break till 300. What about dollar CAD? Paul asked, let's see what dollar CAD's doing. The dollar story to me, I think it's going to be up, down, and sideways. Yeah, it looks like we've got a bounce here. Let me see what the weekly looks like. There is a support zone here. Yeah, I mean, that's why I kind of said that the dollar is just going to be playing in the zone. I think it's just going to be backing and filling, and the dollar can, stay in a zone for 6 months. So, I think the dollar will go weaker, but I think there's going to be a lot of crap, in between. So, as I was saying, what I try and do is I find instruments that I can get in, and when I get in, they're going to work. I really don't want to, look, I think the dollar, if you have patience, and I'm long Australian dollar for the long term, I don't really care about it. It's, I know probably might take 6 months till it breaks out of this, consolidation zone. But then like QuantumScape last week and Zoom this week, I want to find things that when I get in it, there's just, it's just going to go. Cyprian says he's up 25% today. Good on you, Cyprian. Just make sure you're not betting too much on any one thing. Um, but, this is going to be an environment where most people, certainly in the stock market, are programmed buy and hold or think long. In fact, I use one broker for my, kind of conservative money, and they won't even let me buy SQQQ or UVXY. SQQQ is an inverse ETF. It makes money when the market goes down, and this broker you can't even buy SQQQ on it. So most programs, most investors, most pensions, most mutual funds, everybody is positioned on the long side. And those kind of investors have the mentality that, hey, if the market drops 10%, then it'll be a great buying opportunity. Where to me, if the market is going to drop 10%, I want to take advantage of that. In fact, I did that in the NASDAQ 2 months ago, when the NASDAQ dropped about 15%. I made a whole boatload of dough on that drop. So to me, if the market's going to go down, I want to get short. But most people, certainly in the stock market, certainly when it comes to shorting stocks, people have this fear, this conception, and frankly, that conception was reinforced, a couple of months ago with the, this GameStop phenomenon, where GameStop, these traders intentionally went and looked for stocks that had a huge short interest, and then just start stepping on them, and just through financial machination, GameStop went from $3 to $500. And I got to tell you, and I got caught in that because I was short Beyond Meat at 147. Full disclosure, I was going in for my first surgery 2 months ago, January 26. I said, I don't want to look at the market. I don't want to stress about it. I think Beyond Meat's going down long term. I've got enough in my account. And I wake up that night, a friend calls me to see how I'm doing, and he says, well, have you seen Beyond Meat? I said, no, I haven't. He says it's at $218. So, from the time I went into surgery to, a few hours later that night, BYND went from 147 to 218. So I will say that, there's a lot of risk in being short. Obviously, you're theoretically, your downside is infinite, because a stock can there's no ceiling to where a stock can go. So you got to be careful. But by and large, I love shorting because to me, gravity works. Things come down a lot faster than they go up. You can see the market can spend 3 months gradually every day going up, and then 3 weeks, it's all taken away. So I love shorting. I love kind of being counter to the mainstream, and and it's just, when the market tells you to do that, then you do that. So I'm not going to wait till Zoom hits 250 to buy it. I'm going to short it, and if it's a buy at 250, then I'll buy it there too. So Zoom is now 317, and maybe those put options were cheap. By the end of the day, we could be at under 310 in Zoom. I mean, this thing is such a high beta stock. It's really a rush to trade it. BYND is now under 130. So I think you can just close your eyes and short these. I think all of the risk has been taken out. All of the bounces in the last couple of weeks. I've been having a field day. Every time Zoom gets to 330, 335, I just short into it. Goes back to 310, goes back to 330. I short it again, and now when it goes to 310, I don't think you're going to see too many bounces there. So all of these companies are getting taken apart, and Nasdaq's down 2% today. So I think the tides have turned. We're going to pay for all of this monetary inflation. I think stocks have gotten way overbought. And this is, people are buying, all I've heard, I have the financial channel behind me. I just kind of stick it on, for amusement. But for the last month, while I've been shorting stocks, all I've heard on the financial channel is, record liquidity, Fed stimulus, government stimulus, more infrastructure, the reopening, 7% GDP, consumers have more money than, they've ever had, in their pockets, on and on and on. And so you hear that drumbeat of fundamental information, and, the market is a discounting mechanism. The market, already considered all of that to get here. So now what is going to push the market from here? All the good news is baked into the cake. So Bart says Palantir looks ready to fall. All of these stocks are going to collapse, especially these story stocks, these SPACs, these, IPOs that came public through these SPACs like Palantir and QuantumScape, and they're going to get cut in half, and then in half again probably. Bolshevik, I don't think buy the dip. I think it's sell the rallies. This is not a buy the dip market anymore, my opinion. So to me, every day, something opens higher if there was a key reverse. So yesterday you have a key reversal in Zoom. It went to 336 to 321 and closed around 324. So closed on the low of the day on a huge, what I call key reversal, where it went higher, then closed on the low of the day. So now that basically gives me insurance so that, if it goes higher, into today's opening, which it did, it went like $2, $3 higher. I just shorted that because I had the protection of yesterday, knowing that the buyers already tried to take it up and they failed. So now I think there's very little chance that Zoom is going to go back to 335 today. So for me to short it at 326, I had the protection of yesterday. So now going forward, I'll look for these little key reversal days or inside bars where if we've had a key reversal in the day before and then the stock opens higher, I'll just sell into that. And at some point in the day, it'll drift down, and I'll take it as a day trade, or I'll leave it depending on what my view of the stock is. So now Bolshevik, I think it was buy the dips for last year, and now I think certainly in the Nasdaq, these growth stories, it's sell the rallies. So QuantumScape opened, went up $2 or $3 today, and now it's on the low of the day. You just can reflexively sell that because QuantumScape has no prayer of going higher, none. You'll see a print in QS under 20. Oh, you mean what everybody says? Yeah. Well, look, they're all selling something. All these analysts are paid by, buy side, broker firms. So that's why you can't listen to anybody. You just have to look at what the market is telling you. So what do you guys want to talk about? What are you guys looking at? Come on, I don't want to do all the talking here. This has to be kind of a two-way thing. Do you guys trade, expert advisors, Forex expert advisors? Do you buy those and use those? Because I think the reason why a lot of people, lose money in the market is that they're too short-term focused. So when I see Zoom, when I'm shorting Zoom, as I did this week, 327, my objective is, 280, 260, 250, 240. Just because, I'm making money now, the stock's down $6 today, and I'm making a fortune. I've got 15,000 shares. I'm not, jonesing to get out here and book that profit. So to me, you have to have a longer term horizon. And so, if I can make $50 on a move, then if I lose $3 here or there, or in 10 different trades, it doesn't matter. So people always compare the winners and the losers. To me, that makes no sense. It's really the quality of your winners versus your losers. So it's the old adage, hold your, your profits and cut your losses. And if you do that, then you'll be profitable. It doesn't matter if you have 5 losses out of 6. I can make one trade, bigger than 20 of my losses. Mustafa says, hey, just joined my QS is doing very well. Yeah, so you close your eyes, Mustafa. Don't even watch that. That thing's going to print under $20. Kirby wants to look at DE. Yeah, again, I think like the Dow stocks are going to be relatively stronger. Yes, you're turning lower at a huge resistance level, but some look. If the market comes down, most probably a lot of stocks will come down with it, and then you got to say to yourself, which ones do I want to be in? So these more conservative industrial things, I think, will hold up better. I mean, they'll come down. But yeah, I think the whole market is for sale. So, but to me, I would focus in the growth part of the NASDAQ. I think those are the companies that are going to get torn apart the most because they're the most overvalued. Their PEs were ridiculous. Most of these companies were trading at 20 or 30 times sales, not times revenues, times sales. These things are just prime for the picking. So, company like Deere, it's got real earnings, it's got a real multiple. I would, focus on these dogs, the dogs of the NASDAQ, Beyond Meat, Zoom, Snowflake, you pick it. I'd rather be short those. I mean, you just can't be everywhere. So Cyprian says, I'm watching my account go up. The key is don't watch your account. Yeah, because if you watch the money balances all day, you freak you out. I'm up $5,000. Now I'm only up 3. Now I'm up 7. And I've kind of felt, I've become a much more effective trader because I removed the money from the equation. I look at, is the trade setup valid? Why did I get in? Is it still valid? If it's not, get out. I don't even look at the losses. I just say, hey, if it's not valid, get out of the trade. I dump the trade. I don't even look what I lost in the trade. And then I move on and find the next setup that's going to get me somewhere. The same thing when I make money. I made like a whole bucket full of money on QuantumScape last week. I don't even know what I made, to tell you the truth. It could have been 90. It could have been 130. It could have been 150. I move from setup to setup and look at the validity of the setup. And if you watch the market too closely, it's impossible to stay unemotional. Like I say, I want to be in Zoom, until 275, and then I see it hit 210 and go back to 317, and so it's very hard. And so really just, that's why I'm talking to you guys. So I don't have to watch the market. So Mustafa says better to close the NASDAQ or choose the NASDAQ. I'm not sure what you said, and divert funds to shorting Zoom. So look, what I'm saying, Mustafa, that, there are just many, stocks. If the stock market has hit an interim high, which it feels like it has, a lot of stocks are going to take a fall. And so it's just finding, and we looked yesterday, you guys showed me 1,000 names and they all looked like they had the same thing, double top, head and shoulders, ready to go. And so now it's a question of, which ones do you choose to kind of stay with? And to me, I think the NASDAQ is the most vulnerable because these stocks, when interest rates go higher, they're, so Deere has real earnings that you can measure and quantify now, whereas Zoom has earnings in the future. So now you've got to discount those earnings backwards using a higher interest rate. And then Zoom is trading at a ridiculous multiple. So you're going to get a multiple compression. An interest rate hike, you've got the present value makes it, lower. And you've got decelerating cash flows because Zoom made all of its money last year. It's probably never going to make as much as it did last year, in that particular time frame because everyone is at home, everyone's using Zoom. Now the economy's reopening, and we're going to go back to our lives. And so it's got decelerating cash flows, have to be discounted backwards at a higher interest rate, and it's trading at a ridiculous multiple. So it's just going to all get compressed. Whereas Deere and Apple, these are real companies. Yes, could they all get hit 10, 15% if this market comes off? Yes. But, I think Zoom will go from 300 to 100 during the time that Apple goes down, 10%. So it just, it's like, being a kid in a candy store. You want to be everywhere. I want to be everywhere. I want to short everything. So I would just pick on these SPACs, these IPOs that were frauds, that were frothy to begin with, like QuantumScape, Snowflake, Dash, Beyond Meat, BYND. I think it's going to go to $60. It's at 120.29 now. Cyprian says, "Thank you, good advice." Thanks, Cyprian. He wants me to look at SITM. Yeah, it's a great. I like this. It's a double top. It's got a Head and Shoulders. If I get everything looks like this, what is this? What is this company, Cyprian? And I probably shouldn't know. The less you know, the better. It's got a vacuum between 83 and 92, so it's got this $9 hole that it's looked like it's gonna fall into. So Mustafa says, is Nasdaq having a mini crash? So Mustafa, the Nasdaq is at an all-time high, which matched its high a few months ago when I shorted it. And whenever you get to the same place, on a chart, on the monthly too, I'm looking at the monthly, it's always ripe for some kind of sell-off. How much, how big, time will tell, but I think this could be big. Also 2019 IPO, IOVA. Yeah, all these stocks look the same. And obviously, they've all been tracing out over time, the same kind of pattern. So this looks like it's forming a very weak right shoulder. You'll notice there is this key reversal in the middle here. That's around $25. So that's kind of standing in the way, but look, it all looks the same, but the thing is, if you have a $29 stock, it can only go $29. Whereas if you have like a $300 like stock like Zoom, it's got a lot further to go. Obviously in a percentage thing, if this thing drops $3, it's 10%. It's the same as Zoom dropping 10%, $30. So, but you just have more opportunity. If you short Zoom Beyond Meat at 130, you have a $60 compression that you could make here. Look, it could go $5, $7, $8, which on a percentage basis is huge. So, like I said, just pick your poison. These stocks all look the same. They all have the same technical justification for going down. So, Rhythmic says, "I've been eyeing AI and its breakdown. Do you think it's taking a breather for the next leg down?" So, I kind of have this ongoing battle with my wife who, thinks in terms of fundamentals and long term, and I was talking to her about plug power and all these EV stories where, undeniably the future is EV. We're going to need charging stations like Blink and Plug Power and F-Cell. And so, why are these stocks been cut in half? I don't No, and I don't really want to think in those terms. All I see was patterns that led to that crash, and it makes no sense. But the market never makes sense, until we see the future. Maybe something's going to replace what they do. I don't know. I don't want to know. So to me, it's never the why. I never ask why this company does something and what it does, and to me, it's what is the price setup? Is this thing trending? Is it reversing? Is there some bearish price pattern, bullish price pattern? So I never think in terms of why. I'm not trying to play MIT economist here. I'm not trying to solve the future. I'm just going with what is. I surrender to the will of the market. So yes, EV will be the future. How that future is going to play out, which companies are going to play a role, the market will tell us. So my wife's saying, well, why wouldn't you want to be in plug for the long term? Well, it's dropped 70%. And even if it comes back, why would I want to sit in that thing for 5 years while I could use that money to short Zoom right now? So, if I'm looking long term, I'd like to sit in Zoom short long term, for the next 6 months. ENPH. Yeah, again, this is kind of sitting on a major uptrend line. Again, the energies, yeah, I mean, this looks really bearish. Everything looks really bearish now. I mean, it just feels like this whole market's going to come apart. Yeah, it's sitting on, let me just draw this out here. So the NASDAQ has been, held up by this huge uptrend line, which like on Tesla comes in around $300, $600. And if we start taking out that uptrend line, then you're going to see a lot of things start taking apart. So I'm just trying to see this uptrend line on end phase. Comes in around 125 or so. So it's not there yet. But like, ARK Financial, ARKK, is a proxy ETF for the NASDAQ. I just want to kind of look at this long-term trend line because it's been bouncing off this long-term thing. And the next time, I don't think it's going to bounce. And once it triggers through there, I think there's going to be blood in the water. And we're not too far away. So ARKK is trading at 117.70, hair under 118. It looks like it will trigger probably about 110. So it's been hugging this uptrend line for a year. And all the NASDAQ has been bouncing off this thing. Tesla, this line comes in probably around 620 or so. And ARK is a proxy because it holds a lot of these, technology stocks, and a lot of the media watches ARK, Cathie Wood. And you hit 110 on this thing, it's nothing but air under here. I think the next stop is $75. Bart says that's the spirit right now. Go short for a long time. So certainly these growth stories like ARKK, close your eyes. Beyond Meat, QuantumScape, Zoom, just put them all in that bucket and, come back 6 months later and they'll be in half. Fiverr. So again, certain stocks are better than others. Fiverr certainly looks like it's rolling and creating this head and shoulders top. But I really want to, just zone in on these really weak hands. Fiverr will probably go in time, but, Beyond Meat and Zoom will probably collapse. So again, just same conversation. It's just finding, Peloton, all of those companies. Oh yeah, I'm good buddies with Maxine Waters. not, Daniel. I won't get into a political discussion, but yeah, don't get me started. Um, FSL Fastly, also one of these cloud companies, looks like it's going to get whacked. Yeah, it looks like it's over. It's over. And I think, this downturn could be worse than people expect because there's no reason for it. Got so much money on the sidelines, you can make on the justification. And the more it goes down, the more you say, well, but there's so much consumer power, then you're in denial, and then, it's going to go down even more. So yeah, I think there is blood in the water, and most people don't short. So to me, it's just a field day. I'll make most of my money, in the next 3 months, while everybody's jumping out of windows. Synopsis, again, this may come down. Looks like it's relatively stronger than some others. And, everything obviously looks like it's turning right now. So you can just buy some NASDAQ puts or, Take Two Interactive, looks like it's on this huge uptrend line. And, this whole NASDAQ has been held up along this uptrend line. And certain things like ARC, are closer. And Take Two, I'd say 165. Under 165, there's a lot of air on TTWO. So, yeah, it's just once you understand this, then, you're so way ahead of the game because everybody's looking at these breaks and talking about them as buying opportunities, and they will be. A week from now, we'll drop and it'll be another discussion on value versus growth versus this. And so, you're ahead of the game if you kind of understand, what's going on. So Bolshevik said, yesterday I said Bob is going to 227 long term. You said it goes much lower. It's already, you were right. Why is this dropping? So again, Bolshevik, I never ask why. Never. If you're asking why, you're trying to validate your trade. You're trying to look for reasons. I can always look. I mean, Beyond Meat, there was an analyst that came out a month ago when I was shorting the stock in the 150s, and a report hit. Beyond Meat's going to 184 because it's just formed agreements with Coca-Cola, Yum Brands, Kentucky Fried Chicken, 3 mergers. This analyst thought it, had a bright future and put 184 as a price target. And I said to our members that, when it was at 150, I said, this stock has got more chance of being at 84 before it's going to be at 184. So yeah, I mean, you looked at that thing, that press release, you see this company announces all of these major deals with these major companies. Why shouldn't that translate into a better future? I don't know why, because the market was telling me that this thing looks like a piece of garbage. So, Bolshevik, I don't ask why. Price is always right. BABA's going down. It's, once it hits that neckline, under 220, it's also got air underneath it. Probably go for an $80, kind of spill under there. Look for you says, hey, Mark, I get the quality of the trade matters as opposed to watching your account, but you still have to keep an eye on your availability margin. Well, if you're keeping, an eye on margin, then your trades are big. You shouldn't be maxing out your account, which I did on Zoom. So what I do is I take a notional account. So instead of putting all my money at one broker, in the United States, we have kind of limitations, on what insurance you can get in any. So I have my money all over the place. And what I'll do is I'll take like a three or $400,000 account and trade it like a $2 million account. So it's what it's called a notional account. So even though I've got 400 grand in there, I've got 15,000 shares short. I'm trading it like a $2 million account. So instead of putting up all of the money, I put up a small part and then trade it like that. But if you're watching your margin balances and all that, then you're maxing it out, and you shouldn't be doing that. And then you don't have to watch your account. You should just, these positions now should just go. So it's like, I really don't want to watch Zoom, intraday. It's hard not to, just come back at 3, see what it's doing, at the close. And then, because my view now, it's just, now I want to sit in this thing. And the more I look at it, it goes to 310, it's like, wow, I'm making all this money. I want to grab it. I want to try not to do that. And you can't, if you're watching it all day, it's hard to be unemotional. Hey, Dennis from Saskatchewan, how are you doing up in there? I imagine it's still probably pretty cold up there. What are you Canucks trading these days? Mustafa says, you are amazing. In previous times, I would have bought when a stock was down. Now I see things differently. I keep the short position I have. It is a whole different mindset, Mustafa. And you're way ahead of most of these people out there, and they've been programmed. I mean, 10 years we've had a huge bull market. And then in the last year, we haven't had a downtick in the market. It's been up every single day. So you get this programming, it's this instinctive thing. And, when it starts coming down like a ton of bricks, people are going to try and, look for buying opportunities. And then it'll hold for, a few days, and then it'll go make a new low again. So Bart asked me about WRK. I don't know. It's kind of really resisting these highs. I would get out of that trade. I would get out and reevaluate WRK. Wakamela says CAD yen. So I talked a little bit about these yen trades. I think the yen trades are going to turn lower, all of them. And yeah, CAD yen's got this little head and shoulders here. I think the yen is going to go back into its long-term secular downtrend. So short dollar yen, pound yen is risky, but it's like the zoom of the yen pairs. You get a lot of beta in pound yen. So you have to set your stops wide. I would short the rallies in these yen pairs. Cyprian, you're welcome. Have a great day. Bart, you're welcome. All right, guys. Anything you want to talk about? Hey, Dennis, what's going up in Canada? What are you trading? How do you trade? What do you trade? Do you trade FX, stocks? So this is a bit of a conversation back and forth. I can talk all day long, but prefer to hear from you guys. Rhythmic says, I have to get going. You have been a great source of knowledge and confidence. Thank you for these webinars. Hey, Rhythmic, I appreciate it. And, if you could do me a favor, Rhythmic, it really offsets a lot of things. If you could leave a review, I would really appreciate it. I'm going to put that link in the chat box. And if you feel like, saying something that others can gain some insight, I would really appreciate it. All right, guys, thanks for checking in this morning, and have a healthy and prosperous trading day, and we'll see how it all works out. All right, guys, cheers. Thanks, Rhythmic. I appreciate it. So Dog says, I drive for Uber and I listen to you while driving. Many of my passengers are truly interested in what you're saying. All right, just don't get distracted and drive off the road, Dog. Thanks a lot. And, if you would check out and give me a review, that's pretty funny. I'm actually going to copy and paste that somewhere. Bolshevik says, I wish I'd known you a few months ago. I lost 80% of my accounts on story stocks. Now I'm learning under you. Yeah, don't get mesmerized, man. Bitcoin, EV, the market is the only thing that counts. Price never lies, right? So analysts have opinion. They get paid $1 million a year to say Beyond Meat's going to be at 184. Guy probably got $1 million a year for that. And I just look at the double top and say, what is this guy talking about? Last week on a webinar where I had 500 people on, Mustafa was on that, will tell you. I said, QuantumScape at $41. I said, this is just a go to the bank trade. I said on the webinar, and I felt reckless. I said, I can't see any risk in this stock. I can't see any risk in being short this stock. That was last. And then I got off, and then I watched that night on Kramer. This guy from Goldman Sachs has this show called Mad Money. And as I got off my webinar, he's talking about QuantumScape and saying what a buy it is. And then QuantumScape went up in the aftermarket on Kramer's things. I'm going, I had these put options. And then, a week later, it's at $31, 30% lower. So I don't care what Kramer says. He's from Goldman Sachs. Nothing is bigger than the market. All right, guys. Have a great day.